Cheers to another episode of the Real Estate Ballers Show. If you're new here, my name is V. Lee. This is the show where I interview upcomers, doers, and ballers of the real estate investing world. The purpose is to help you to reach your financial freedom in real estate investing faster. Today's guest is Johnny Hayes with Jet Lending. Johnny is a friend and a colleague. His partner would say Johnny has never met a stranger. But beside that, Johnny is a very successful investor here in the Houston, Texas area. And so I invited Johnny on to talk about the rookie mistake you should avoid. So join us as Johnny shares the rookie mistake that he's seen after having been involved in thousands of real estate transactions. Okay, we got Mr. Johnny Hayes in the house. So, Johnny, can you give the audience a quick introduction?
Hey, V, how are you doing? Thanks for having me today. Excited to talk to you about real estate in these exciting times. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in the real estate business for about 18 years. I work at Jet Lending, and I help real estate investors become wealthy and buy properties and hold properties and grow in this market. And hopefully over the next hour, we can talk about a lot of things that'll help your ballers be more successful in this business.
Yeah, we're going to talk about things and to help to have more ballers in real estate, right?
That's correct.
You said you are an owner of Jet Lending. Is that a company that loaned to buy private jet or something?
Well, if you had a jet and we like the loan to value on it, we'd probably help you with it. But basically, that name came from we're an asset-based lender where we close fast. Most investors, when they find a deal at a discount, they have to close quickly. And so we patent our whole business model of helping real estate investors get in good deals, close quickly, and grow wealth.
So, Johnny, you've been in business since 2004, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What would you say, how, just maybe not too much in depth, but more like a high level of what was it like then in real estate and what it's like today? And in your opinion, is it harder today or easier today?
Well, I could say if you went over the last 3 years, I think it's probably a little easier just because this market that it has been over the last 3 years has kind of corrected a lot of investors' mistakes. If people were to happen to fall in love with the property, pay a little bit too much, the way appreciations happened over the last few years, it's allowed them to get out of it if they've made mistakes on the front end. Back in the early 2004s, it was good back then. You didn't have as much competition. So in that means it may be a little tougher today than what was back then, but you're going to go through cycles in real estate like you always do. And we've been through 3 or 4 cycles over these last 20 years that's allowed us to adjust to stay ahead of the game. So it doesn't matter when you get in this business, you're going to have its ups and downs. Some will be good, some will be bad. I think if you stay ahead of it and plan right, you can be successful in any market today.
I think you just kind of hit a point here to plan right. But for people who are just getting started, how do they know how to plan?
Well, I think you got to build a team. I mean, I learned this when I first got in this business, I came from the corporate world. I didn't know the difference between a deed and a deed of trust. I mean, I'll be straight up with you.
Same here.
I learned straight from the bottom. Luckily, I had a good mentor that taught me things the right way, that had experience in it. So our goal is when we talk with clients or potential new investors to make sure we put a good team around them that can help educate them, just like you do with your group with REBallers. Make sure they do things the right way and help them not make the mistakes that seasoned investors had to make over the years to learn this business and maybe make them successful sooner than later.
So, Johnny, you guys hopefully done thousands of deals already, like been involved in thousands of transactions in real estate. Can you maybe tell us about the top 5 rookie mistake that you've seen a lot?
Okay. When I get a new investor that comes in, a lot of times they finally find a house and they get excited.
Yeah.
Okay. I finally got a deal and they accepted my offer. What do I do now? You
Uh-huh.
know, I think the first thing is you got to run it like a business, because sometimes when you find a deal, that doesn't always mean it's a deal. I think people fall in love with the property, and then if the numbers may not be where they need to be, they try to make them work. And I think that's the worst thing you can do. If you build a good team around you that can help analyze deals for you, make sure you get in deals. It's all about the numbers. You make your numbers when you buy the deal. You just don't collect on those profits until you sell it. So what you try to do is, if the deal's a deal, move forward, be aggressive, work with your team and close, but don't try to make the numbers work. And we'll get into what I feel are some of the other mistakes that investors do. Once they fall in love with the deal and try to make it work, they do other things that kind of make that snowball get bigger. And before you know it, it's not a deal by the time they try to sell it.
Falling in love with the house is like a dealer falling in love with cocaine, right?
I think it could be. I've never tried that, but I hear it's addictive. But you're excited. You're trying to do your first deal. And I tell people, don't be scared. We'll help you get through it. But the numbers have to work. Okay. Because if the numbers don't work and you get in there, you're not going to make any money at the end.
What's that guy, Tony in Scarface?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he failed because he fell in love with his own product.
That's right. Tony Montana.
Tony
So,
Montana.
yeah. That's one of the first things. And kind of to put underneath there is, you may make adjustments. Okay. Stick with what your plans are. Yeah, things change, but don't try to cut back on repairs. Don't try to sell things at a higher price that's not on the market. Now I say that a lot of people today in today's market, you can get more for a deal because there's low inventory and the market will bear it. But once you sit there and analyze the deal and get your numbers together, stick to your plan. Now may have to make some adjustments sometimes, but let's make sure you do things the right way and you'll come out ahead. When you try to cut corners or do things not like you're supposed to, it all normally costs you more money in the end.
I totally agree with you on that not cutting corners mistake there. A lot of people want to be cheap because obviously they want to make the most profit. So they're trying to spend as little as possible and use the cheapest contractor or buy the cheapest products available. But then that end up, don't you think it end up hurting you in the end when you're trying to sell that property?
Well, I see today, we try to help these guys, give them a real after repaired value for what the market will bear in that neighborhood. And you want to be on that top end to where it looks good. Because if you cut back and your competition is doing things the right way, your house will sit there for a while where their house will sell first. And you probably won't get the top value. And the longer you, especially if you're a new investor and you have to go out and borrow money, where you have more costs than people that just have a lot of assets or cash that pay for it. But even those seasoned investors go out and borrow money because you can make more money that way. So make sure you do it the right way. And the lesser you hold and the quicker you sell things, the less cost it is on your expense side, and your profit margin will go up, even though you had to spend a little bit more money up front.
So what you've said so far is don't fall in love with the house you're buying.
Yep.
You got to run it like a business, and then don't cut corners on the repairs.
Correct. And when we say, let's add something to don't cut corners.
Okay.
Unless you're a contractor or a professional contractor yourself, don't do the repairs yourself. I mean, I have so many investors that they try to find a contractor and it doesn't work. Managing contractors is probably one of the toughest part of this business. So they try to go and do things themselves and they're not qualified. And it may take them a year to do it instead of a professional guy do it in 30 days and you sell it in 30 days, and then you make more money than you did if you cut it back yourself. So I think that's an important thing to remember. That runs into run it like a business instead of a hobby.
What are some other rookie mistakes that you've seen?
Well, I see the first thing too is once the product's completed, they don't try to utilize the sources out there that can help get their top dollar and sell it. If you're going to be in this business and be in it for a long term, use the professional realtors out there. There's realtors out there that we can help put you with, or you can find that can help you move your product quickly and get your maximum value, because you're a realtor yourself, aren't you, V?
I am.
You're licensed. I'm licensed. I don't go out there and do that all the time. I do it in case we sell our own houses. Yeah. But, have a professional there to make sure things are done right. Have you ever tried to show a house and people don't show up? You set all these appointments, you waste 3 days of your time and nobody ever shows. Yeah. Let the professionals do it. You spend your time going out there finding more deals that will make you more money instead of trying to save a commission on the back end. I think the biggest statement I've always heard that one of my mentors, Eddie, taught me, he says, I love paying real estate commissions. You know why? Because that means I just sold something. And if I'm selling something, I'm making a profit from something we did in a project, and it allows me to go do more projects to grow that wealth.
Eddie, when he buys, he already budget the real estate commissions in it, right? So I think
Yes.
sometimes, back to your point, is some investor, when they buy, they probably miss the number. Like they don't calculate the commissions into their costs. They may underestimate the cost of repairs.
Yep.
And that leading to trying to recover by cutting costs some other way, but then it's ended up costing even more. Is that what I'm hearing you saying? This episode is brought to you by Buzz Vacation Rentals, a premier property management company in Houston and Galveston area. Buzz Vacation Rentals specializes in managing short-term rentals the right way. Give us a call at 281-549-8432 to learn more, or check out their website at buzzvacationrentals.com. That is buzzvacationrentals.com. Now back to the Real Estate Ballers show.
Well, there's 6 numbers you got to figure out.
Yeah.
And not everybody knows that. They think, oh, I can pay this, I can spend this, and I'm going to sell it for this, and I'm going to make $30,000. They don't take into costs their buying costs, their holding costs, their selling costs. Issues that pop up when you buy distressed property and have to repair, guess what? Things happen that you don't expect sometimes. So you got to have contingencies to where you buy with good spreads if you're flipping properties to make a profit. And I'd say one of the other big mistakes in that is you say they cut back on repairs, but sometimes they underestimate the reserves that they may need to handle a deal each time. There's 2 things that keep you out of trouble when you're buying and flipping houses or buying rental properties. Mm-hmm. The first thing is you need to calculate a good equity spread or a profit margin. Mm-hmm. So in case things go wrong, you got extra reserves there that, okay, I'm not going to make 40. I still got to cover this and I'll make 35, and that's a good profit. But they underestimate their reserves for their holding time, because if things go wrong, profit margin and cash in the bank or reserves is what keeps you out of trouble. I have a lot of investors that underestimate reserves, which I try to give them a good idea of what you need to handle this over a period of time before I even do a loan with them, so they'll be more successful. If you run short on cash, you have to make bad business decisions on, do I do these extra repairs to get it to ARV where I'm supposed to be? If I don't have the money, I'm going to cut back, and then you get less and you don't make money. So there's a lot of things involved that can help you be successful in here. And I tell people, if they bring me a deal and they don't have the reserves, hey, let's help you flip this property, build your reserves, and before you know it, we'll get you enough reserves to where you can start doing deals for yourself.
I think you made an impactful statement there. You said having enough cash to get you out of trouble.
Yep.
I paraphrase you, but yes. So what is your basic rule of thumb for reserve?
If I'm looking at a guy that's trying to flip a property, okay, I help real estate investors that buy, fix, and resell and make profits, and I help real estate investors that buy, fix, and hold long-term for rental. If you're flipping a property, it's mostly about equity. You better be buying with a spread, okay? I'll look at reserves to say, figure you in today's market, if you have at least 6 months of your holding costs each month in reserves, plus any down payment you may have to bring to that loan, as well as a third of your repair budget, you should have enough money in the bank to hold that thing as long as 15 months before you had to go in and tap extra money to get you out of it in case something goes wrong. Now, the good thing you said, what's good today and what's bad? Today, the market, you sell things quickly. What would be the first thing a new investor would tell me? And he tells me all the time, oh, well, I only need a month's worth of reserves because I'm going to sell it in 30 days.
Yeah.
Well, remember, it ain't that you're going to sell it in 30 days. It may take you 30 or 60 days to fix it.
Right.
And then once you fix it and you get a buyer, guess what? It takes 30 to 45 to 60 days to close that loan. So you always have to calculate the things that other people have to help you do as well in this process that may not be as efficient as you, and still think about that to make sure you don't put yourself in a pinch.
Yeah, I see that all the time, right? And you guys see it too when you have to foreclose on somebody, is they so close to making that big check, but then they don't have enough cash to carry them over to get to that point. And it's that back to your having enough reserve. Be prepared for that. Your comment on having enough reserve. So yes, that's so important to have enough reserve. What do you think of like people, statements of all these guru that saying, oh, you can get into real estate with no money? Because what they say is you can start with no money, but what you are saying is you got to have reserve.
Well, reserves is what keeps you out of trouble. Okay. Now, have I ever had a guy that came into me and says, just found one heck of a deal? And guess what? There's heck of a deals out there.
Yeah.
If you're going to an asset-based lender, the lower you purchase the property, the better off you're going to be.
Right.
And the reason is there's people out there that still loan you 100%, but you still have to make interest payments each month. You still have to front your repairs to add value to it until you get reimbursed in draws. There's still things that you have to stay ahead of the game to make things run smoothly. And if you don't have those reserves, then I'm not saying you can't do a deal. Your first few, you may need to go find a partner or an equity partner that has money and help you work through it so you learn the process until you're comfortable to doing it. Because I promise you, us as a lender, we've never foreclosed on a property for somebody that paid us, okay? If we've had to extend, we've always worked with them. The biggest issue is when you run out of money and you have no other options, we'll still try to work with them, but there's only certain things you can do because you got to make a business decision. Does that make sense?
It does. So let's say I'm a new investor and I got a smoking deal, but now I'm in a bind. I didn't listen to your advice. I had reserve, but I had it for 5 months and it looks like it's going to take me 8 months now to sell this property. What advice would you have for me?
Well, what I would look at first would be is look at some other alternatives to say, hey, maybe I need someone to come in and help me get done with this. Mm-hmm. Give up a little equity and find me an equity partner to get us through here so I can get this deal behind me. If you're in means to where you could go get long-term financing because the market has slowed down, maybe you get it and change your exit strategy to getting some long-term financing at lower rates and put a renter in there and let it appreciate over the next few years and then maybe sell it if that's what your end goal is. So there's different things you can do out there, but as long as you're communicating with us as an asset-based lender, we're always there to help our clients, because if I can make you successful, even get you through a bad deal to get you to your next deal, sometimes those are the guys that learn the hard way and says, hey, I'm never going to do what I said I wasn't going to do. But they did it the first time and they've learned their lesson to say, hey, these guys, they're trying to really help me make money and become wealthy and successful in this business.
Yeah, I think that's back to your first thing that you mentioned when we earlier was to plan, right? So I think a new investor should always look ahead and see how much reserve they have left, so that way they don't wait until the last day to realize they need reserve for 3 more months.
Yes. And if we can help calculate that up front and make sure you're close to those numbers, that puts you in a better position to succeed.
Share with us some funny story that you have seen. Maybe what is the funniest story that you have seen in the deals that you come across?
I'll give you two. I'll give you one
Okay.
on one end and one on the other.
Okay.
Okay. And I could get into some really crazy, funny stories, but
Yeah.
I wanted to sit down with your investors is I've got a guy that came to us and just swore how good a deal was.
Yeah.
And we fought back and forth. And I said, look, if you really want to do this deal, I just don't think it's justice that I do it for you. I've got somebody else that would be happy to do it for you, but I think you're going to lose your skirt. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And he went and did that deal with somebody else.
Oh.
And he comes back on his knees begging me to do business with us again. And I'm like, no, I was trying to give you some help. And it was always the best deal he never did. This house was as bad as you could get it. Now, it doesn't mean a bad house is not a good house. You can make money off of it, but you better be paying a lot less money for it in order to get it up and do it. And if the numbers didn't work, he basically learned the hard way of, okay, I believe someone else. Not that I'm right all the time. And the other end of the spectrum, I'm going to tell you, okay, was one of his partners came in and we did the same thing to him. And we told him it was not, we didn't think it was a good deal. And he swore up and down it was.
Yeah.
He saw things that maybe we didn't see. Yeah. He took a chance on it. And when market conditions like now today, he ended up selling for a lot more and made a lot more money. Then he comes back in our face telling us, hey, I told you so, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'm as happy for every investor that ever does a deal with us if they make more money. My job is to make him successful, put him in a position at the time of closing to make money. And I got to thinking, I couldn't tell you all the funny things that happened because I don't think this is a PGR TV show. I want to keep it in line.
Try to keep it PG, Johnny.
Yeah, there we go. I just want to make sure to let you know, we're not always right, but with our data and experience, I think we can put most people in a good position. And if an investor can build that team together, that they trust somebody, I mean, it's all about relationships. You got to have a good title. You got to have insurance. You got to have a good mentor like yourself. You got to have a good lender. You got to have those people in place that you trust because you can't do it all by yourself.
Totally agree with you on this because there's just so much going on in our business, right? You got to figure out how to get the lead and then you got to follow up with those leads and then you have the deal, you buy it. And now you got to manage that deal so that you can keep everything on time because time is money. The longer you hold something, the more money going out the window.
That's correct.
I totally agree with you. So back to you. What is a turning point in your career?
In this business, let's just get started. I brought up earlier, I knew nothing about real estate other than I've bought houses for myself to live in, at the point where I think it was education, the time of learning things, and the trial and error. I mean, when you get into something, you make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with that. None of us are perfect. But if we make mistakes and we learn about it and we can grow off of that. So I want to say probably back in 08 and 09, remember when the turn happened, when subprime went crazy, a lot of foreclosures happened in the investment market. We ended up taking back a lot of properties because people just threw their hands up and said, I can't sell them. I don't have any money. We tried to work with them. I think at that point, it really hit that if you're out there, we did a lot of loans for flippers. And we learned at a time when things change and people have to adjust. If you ever get in trouble as a flipper, or let's just say a real estate investor, there's multiple options that can help you get out of that trouble and still be successful. And we had to go out and find those options. And I'll share those with you right now. With all the foreclosures that came back, we sold a few of them quickly. If we didn't sell them, as with the realtors or to owner occupiers, we did owner finance. Where we had income coming in to cover the debt we were responsible for. And if we couldn't sell them quickly, then we put renters in there. And we rented our way out of trouble over the years of a renter paying your mortgage down. And guess what? Wealth building is all about appreciation. You hold a rental property, it appreciates. and your renter pays your debt down. So there's multiple ways to help you get out of trouble. And once you get into a trouble or make mistakes and learn how to do it and go against adversity, I think it builds confidence in you that you can get through anything. And now it puts you at a point where, hey, to be successful in here, you got to go through some hard times sometimes to make you better. And I think that was a big stepping point in my career that said, no matter how tough it gets, get up, go to work, have a good positive attitude, and make things happen. And good things will come back to the people that do it the right way.
That's very impactful, Johnny. I think at any time when an investor see a sign of trouble, take courage to just talk about it.
That's right.
Be open about it, because you never know what advice you can get from someone. Well, I will also caution them not to get the wrong advice either, but just go to the right people and get advice to get out of it and learn from it.
Well, we don't have many defaults because we try to put people in successful positions, but things happen beyond their control, or market conditions, or contract got over on them and stole their money and ran off, and they had to try to get through things. Is if you can be open with somebody that can help you get through it, if you just clam up, don't communicate, run off, people that you're doing business with have to still continue to do business and have to make tough decisions. Yeah. I think most everybody will work with anybody that's trying to do things the right way and help them get to the end so they learn how to battle adversity and then hopefully make them better to where you can still do business in the long run.
So speaking of turning, I feel like the market is turning. And when you read every article, some say, oh, it's not going to be that bad. And some say it's going to be worse than 2008. You have an opinion? What is your opinion?
Well, like I say, everybody has their opinion. That don't mean you're right or wrong. Right. That's just your opinion. And I don't see it being as bad as 2008 or 2009. You know, as long as inventory is down, there's going to be a seller's market out there. You may not get as high as things have appreciated just because the news, they're all doom and gloom. We're lucky if you're in Texas. Now, I know you have investors outside of Texas, and we do loans outside of Texas as well. But we're lucky to be in a place like Texas that can help control some of those things because the real estate market has been very good over the last 20 years. And I see it to be good over the next 20 years because it's very affordable to live here and you don't have huge appreciations with the exception of a few areas. But I think if you look at it, I would say 2008, 2009, I don't understand people just giving up on things and not fighting for it. And it may have been because other parts of the country, California, East Coast, Florida, where values skyrocketed and they crashed so deep, they were just so upside down that they couldn't battle out of it. But people who hung in there could, is just don't give up. Stay positive. I mean, I tell people even at my office, if you don't come to work every day with a good attitude, your day's going to be off.
Yeah.
And then all it does is turn into the next day. Don't get me wrong. Things happen during the day that can bring you down. Yep. You solve it and then move on, because if you dwell on the past or if you think negative, 90% of those negative thoughts never come true if you're out there working hard. So stay positive, and when things get resolved, you didn't have that bad feeling because you sat there and was that glass half empty instead of one half full.
There you have it. So obviously, being in real estate for this long, or doing anything, there's always cycles, right?
Yes.
The market will go up and the market will go down and this and that. So what do you suggest for a real estate investor to do anytime when we see, or what to watch for so that we know the market is turning? Yep. One. Secondly is when you see signs of the market turning, what are the things that an investor should do to still stay in the game?
Here's what I would say is build your reserves. Make sure you have reserves. That keeps you out of trouble.
Have reserve.
Right? Okay. No, let's say you have a lot of assets, but not a lot of liquidity.
Yeah.
If you want to stay in this business, maybe take some of your assets and liquidate to have you so you can keep being aggressive and buy things. Now, you're going to be having to buy them lower if the market slows down, okay? Because you're going to hold it longer. So as long as you're calculating your numbers to where you still have good equity and deals, or if you're a flipper, maybe put yourself in a position to become a longer-term investor where you go more into rental properties. Because as we see today, where's everybody moving in this country? Texas is one of the top places where people are coming. We're growing 2%. That's over 600,000 people a year moving to Texas. And what's the number one thing people need when they move to new places is shelter. And so there's a housing shortage in the whole country, especially in Texas. So, there's going to be things that are working for you if you're a real estate investor. And guess what? Rental properties get strong when home sales slow down. Investors buy rental properties. The rental market has grown drastically over the last 4, 5, 6 years where home ownership's gone down. So there's still money to be made if you're a real estate investor. Just change your way you're going, and there's ways you can do it.
Well, thank you, Johnny. So as we wrapping up here, what is the one thing that people might be surprised to learn about you?
About me?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. I think the biggest thing I've learned in this business, and I probably got it from my father, my dad, didn't go to college. I was the first guy in my family to go to college. My dad, mom, when they got out of high school, he went to the Army. They've worked their whole lives and showed me a good work ethic, So I've been out there to try to improve myself. That I've been lucky. I've only had 2 jobs in my life. One was a corporate job out of college that I really enjoyed and helped me become successful. And then the other one was this job that I've been in for 18 years. And the best advice I can give anybody, if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to be successful because you're going to want to get up and go to work every day. If you're out there working and you hate what you're doing, then you need to go find something else to do. Now, some people may not have the luxury of doing that sometimes because they got to support their family, but then go find something you're going to enjoy doing. And I promise you, I think it'll just give you a better positive attitude. I learned that in sports. My high school baseball coach, all he preached was positive mental attitude. If you had a positive mental attitude, you would always be good at what you tried to do. You may not be the best, but you would get better because you're always trying to improve. And hopefully one day you'll reap the rewards from that. And knock on wood, I've been lucky. I've learned from some good people and been able to put myself with some good people in business. And I think it's helped us become successful. But the number one thing I really enjoy now is I get a lot of calls from our clients that we've been doing business with 18 years. Hey, remember you gave me a chance 15 years ago and you helped me battle through that first deal and it didn't go well. And you stuck with us. And now I own 20 rental properties and 10 of them are paid off and 5 of them are almost paid off. And I flipped 20 houses. Thank you for helping me learn this business and build my wealth so my family can enjoy a lot of fun, that we can share time together and be successful in this business.
That's a good feeling, isn't it?
Oh, it really is.
Yeah.
And once you get to that feeling, it's really, you can make money, but it's really about giving back to some other people. You can do so much, but when you go help other people, it comes back to you in tenfold. I'm a firm believer of it. My parents taught me that. And so I think once you become successful in something, try to help other people be successful. And I think your life will be a lot more enjoyable.
Well, that's why we're here today, talking about real estate, right? About mistakes that rookies should avoid. Last question, Johnny. How does the audience get in touch with you?
Okay. There's 2 ways. They can email me at info@jetlending.com, or they can reach me on my cell phone, and I'll give that out. I work 24/7. I may not answer it at 4 a.m, but you leave me a message, we'll get back with you at 832-434-5532. And then my personal email with the company is Johnny, JOHNNY, @jetlending.com.
Thanks for watching the Real Estate Ballers Show. If you found value in this show, please hit that like and subscribe button now. And please also give us a shout out on social media using the hashtag REBallers. And don't be shy, leave us a comment below. Let us know what's working for you, what's not working. And see you next time.